kill this intro
I'll
again.
keep it family friendly though.
Welcome everybody to Backstage Fishing. I'm your host John Woodruff. We're back again at the Mad Lab with Brian Carter and the BassCast.
There you go.
I got this guy in the middle with me, a friend of mine, Dennis Stump. I'm glad to have him here. And we have got the big news. I promised y'all it was coming. Pow! We're going to kill it. I promise you.
That's what I'm talking about.
Dennis, would you like to introduce yourself?
That was a pretty good introduction, man. I don't know how to follow that up. You forgot the devilishly handsome part. We did that in the warm-up round. He just didn't put it in there this time.
All right. Well, we're going to start out with a little, before we get to the big stuff.
We got some tournaments to talk about, man.
Yeah.
We got some Bassmaster Elite tournaments to talk about. We got some, what did we had? We had last week, we had the Federation tournament.
Yeah.
So
that was on James River.
Yeah, we're trying to catch up around here. John's been slacking.
I'm a slacker. So the Elite Series up there, I picked John Schmidt to win. Did you?
No.
Too bad for you.
Now the last event, I accidentally skipped the last one, but I did pick the Johnson boys, and I picked who would thought for Canada, North, and all that stuff that I thought would have a chance to win, and I got a few points. That's about it.
So Lake Champlain, usual factors. I honestly thought that this time, being in the July area, Ticonderoga grass would have came into play, seen more frogfish. We did see some topwater. They were throwing spooks. But everything was up north, and it seemed all the usual situations are still in play, like the bridge. You saw a couple anglers fishing that. That's kind of a community hole. There's another little community hole they call the turtle humps or whatever, and you can't mistake it. It's a big field in the background with two big silos that sit up on the hill, and they're just little humps outside right before you get to the main channel. So yeah, I mean, I'm surprised still a mixed bag of fish won again.
Right.
Usually those smallmouth, they're done spawning and they're kind of in that pre-spawn mode, and the fish down in Ticonderoga or largemouth, they're already done. They're feeding. They're getting happy. The grass is up. Smoking. But
Yeah.
But it was a good one. It was a good.
It was.
I liked watching it. One guy even had fish, Polinick, was it? Even had a fish jump in the boat.
That was pretty crazy.
Set the hook. No, it was Zaldane. Sorry, Zaldane was reeling one in on a drop shot. And it was a little bumpy, but the fish literally came up and jumped by the boat and jumped in the boat as he was reeling it in. That's when you know you're going right.
I think that was one of the highlight reels I remember seeing.
Yes, it was.
So,
and leave it up to Zaldane to go up there and throw a big spoon and catch smallmouth.
Yeah. He was doing really, really well first couple of days. So, I mean...
Oh, yeah.
He was...
They had a lot of camera footage on him.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. Because I'll be honest, it's been a rough year for him. So, it was, I guess, like any other event, they're trying to kind of spread the love.
It seems like he's becoming Aaron Martin's, always a bridesmaid. Always there, but not close enough.
Yes, yes.
Still loves you, Zal Dangerous.
Zal Dangerous.
So Thousand Islands was pure magical, like always, but nothing out of the ordinary. Chris Johnson, Corey Johnson.
Yes.
A lot of the guys that were in the top kind of made that run out towards the big water. And if you've ever been up there, when you go to the big water, it is literally like looking out into the Atlantic Ocean. And the waves are just as tall. So when it gets rough, it gets nasty, and you can really mess some stuff up. And it was Ito that went out the last day, caught 26 pounds. He won the Derby. And last year's Angler of the Year guy was
Clark
Wendlandt. Was on stage because he made the top 10. He caught almost a 20-pound sack the last day, and they're like, well, how do you feel about this tournament? Well, what do you mean? Well, did you feel like you lost this one? He's like, why do I feel like I lost this tournament? I almost caught 20 pounds. Ito went out and won the tournament. He
Yeah.
caught 26. I didn't lose this derby. I almost caught 20 pounds of smallmouth. It's just, that kind of fishery just produces numbers and produces fish over and over, and they're big.
I hate to say this, if they retire Dave Mercer, I wouldn't be upset. I mean, he was a joke the last tournament. I mean, it really was. I mean, just some of the comments I was listening to him say is like, if you're going to lose, it's better to lose by only a couple ounces.
No, it's better to lose by like 10 pounds.
Yeah, 10 pounds.
No,
You
you
know,
got smoked.
know that you gave 110% and you still got your butt handed to you. You know, you at least know in your head, but I was like, I'd have like smacked him right there. But let's go on.
But,
I mean,
well, wasn't it one guy walking across the stage and said, next time I guess I need to catch something as big as you?
yeah,
I
yes.
catch smallmouth built like you.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, goodness.
Yes, that was said.
John, you need to start emceeing local tournaments and work your way up. Just saying.
That's what we said. We've already mentioned that, to
That's
be
your
honest.
calling.
That's kind of crazy.
That's your
He's
calling.
actually, you know, it was funny at the Big Bass Tour. He's like, I need to be emceeing this thing right here. When we did that, we did the podcast from the Big Bass Tour early in the year, and you guys, we will be doing another one
Yes.
in October.
Yes.
From the Big Bass Tour again.
And
So
guess who cashed a lot of checks last time we were there?
Ooh, I know. Me. I wasn't the only one. There's a lot of good fishermen there. I didn't even come close to the big fish, but I was lucky enough to run into a few.
it's all about those checks, man.
Dollar bills, y'all.
I mean, we don't want to go that far off into this whole thing, but I mean, that's why they're coming back again.
'cause I
Two
wanna
more.
make
The
bank,
schedule's
bro.
already been released for 2022.
Yeah.
It was released earlier, and they're back again for 2 more events,
Wow. Okay.
spring and in the fall.
Big fish factory, man. They
It
like
So
is.
we are, if I remember correctly, what they told me, we're like their number 1 or number 2 spot for the most anglers signed up. For the
Really?
Big Bass Tour.
Okay. That's nice. I mean,
So-
if you look at the average of the way Smith Mountain has been going, the fish are getting bigger.
Yeah,
And I mean, if
the tiger bass, man.
I know if the Tigers are taking off, and if it really goes good, you're looking at an 8. I mean, there have been some 8s caught already this year alone during the early spring. It could be turned into a Gunnersville where
Oh yeah.
you might stick a 10-pounder and change your whole sack of fish.
How many chicks did you catch?
I got 5.
All right, so you pretty much tied another person from a couple years ago. I have a photo of Mr. Ben Reynolds holding up. I think he had 5 about 3 years ago. Held up, fandom checks out.
I'll be in his category anytime, man. I appreciate
There
that.
you go. Yes. So he had a whole lot of checks there. I think last year they didn't fish it because there was an FLW tournament. Yes, there was a FLW tournament going on the same weekend as the Big Bass Tour this year. So I don't think I think Brandon was there, but I don't think Ben was there. So, but yeah, it's always a great turnout. 900 plus boats on Smith Mountain Lake. I mean, just stay away.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. Outside, a little different scenery, and now we've got us a nice little GoPro camera. We'll be setting up.
Yeah.
Maybe you think we should try live on that one?
Ooh.
100%. Why would you
That's going to be, the only issue is going to be that's going to be the internet and who actually has internet on that lake. So, but it was an awesome show. If you guys haven't had a chance to check that out on OutdoorObsessionsRadio.com, make sure you head on over and check out that show. And it did really, really well because the cool thing was we did bring a lot. We brought 2 or 3 anglers up and set them at the table, and we got their feedback and opinions, and it was a great show. So
After the show, we can have tequila and tacos and
that's right. We're going to the Mexican restaurant.
yay!
Yay! All right. What else you got on that list, brother?
James River.
Yes.
I don't know if it was a 6-man or I know it was a qualifying tournament for
Yes,
the
it
fish
was.
off.
The fall.
Uh,
Well, summer qualifier.
yes. Was it Ray Tweedy come in second or third?
I think so.
And that's kind of like, that is really the only name I recognize. There's a lot of different anglers out there than the Federation used to be. I did talk to Dad about it, and he said a lot of the local guys told me that they didn't run down to the Chick the first day because there was a cat trail going out of Route 5.
Right.
A lot of them stayed close by, caught, a decent limit of fish, 10 to 11 pounds. But he said the second day, all of them ran down there, and even a guy from up here, Randy Trent, they said they were running down the lake, and people were flying down the lake on the second day. And Dad said those local guys, they came back with, 15, 17. I think there was a 20-pound bag weighed in. So the Chick is on fire. It's just, I hear it's like a choo-choo train down there. It's
Right.
Wait in line because I'm on this hole right now,
Yeah.
and then I
It's all about timing, don't
yeah
it?
yeah exactly. It's tidal, so it's all about time and your rotation. What rotation are you in, depending on the tide?
But it was some damn good bags. I mean, you figure 18 plus pounds on day one was leading it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah, the river can produce if it wants to.
but the winners themselves, I mean, the father-son of Turner and Steve Hart. If you guys didn't check a while back, I interviewed Turner at Bugs Island because he actually was one of the top 25 Bass Nation high school kids who went and fished that this year. So he was picked out of Virginia. We haven't had anybody picked from Virginia in quite a while for that high school event.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool because he got to go down south and fish. Was that part of the Bassmaster Classic? I want to say, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So he fished all of the high school All-American or whatever the heck that the Bass calls it. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And he's actually done really, really well up there on the Chick in the past. So they knew what they were doing.
Well, that's good.
So
Bass Pro Shop,
yeah,
Potomac River,
yeah, our friends, yeah,
Tilly and Brummett
had a pretty good showing.
finished
I mean,
13th or 15th.
yeah, it's right there in the top 15.
Won
so.
a dollar.
They what?
They won a little dollar.
That's true. They were really excited. I mean, it was, again.
I heard it was a messed up tide. That's probably why the weights were down. According to Brummett and Tilly, the wind actually blew upriver. Okay, so when wind blows upriver, it's going to hold the tide. So they went to their first spot, and he was like, "Man, it was supposed to be low tide, but it looked like it was still high." And he said, as soon as the tide was supposed to turn and come in, he noticed that the tide was already coming in, and it wasn't high tide yet. So they had a super high tide.
Yeah, congratulations to them. I mean, we know Brummett's done really, really well up there the last couple of years. I mean, that's how he got AOY for the
it was
BFL.
three tournaments up there. He finished consistently
Yes.
throwing a drop shot. And nobody really does it up there. I hardly even do it up there. So
Right.
he's doing something different than I guess not a lot of anglers are doing. So
Congratulations. Congratulations to them. He
sorry,
did.
Doc Snatch just did it. Doc Snatch just did it.
He did tell me
Doc
that
Snitch just did it again.
he did tell me that they're going to be on TV and it's going to air pretty soon on
yeah?
TV. So hopefully, when we get wind of that, we will make sure you guys know when you guys can watch it. So I haven't received a press release from that event.
I wonder if he's going to throw a Carolina rig jig chartreuse.
Carolina rig buzzbait.
Yeah, Carolina rig buzzbait. See how he called him?
Yeah.
They go with that deep dive and pop bar.
Yeah, the deep dive. Oh gosh, please don't bring it up.
I caught him on a bobber with a gold hook.
Yep. And I still got that gold hook in my hat. I take it out for special events.
Love it.
Awesome.
All right. I'm going to get started on it. Big news right here. I'm not going to do a lot of talking. I'll do a lot of
We're
questioning.
gonna let Dennis do it, man.
Dennis is going to kill it right here in a second. So, without further ado, my friend Dennis has created the Rattle Shot. And it has been, in my opinion, a thrilling roller coaster to be a part of talking with him through this. And I'm ready to shout this out to everybody. Here you guys go. Without a doubt, here's Dennis Stump. And he is going to tell us about Drop Zone Tackle, the Rattle Shot.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for having me, man. Excited to be here. Thank you. Well, just tell me what you want to know. I'll be glad to take you guys down the journey of how it happened.
All right, so how did you come up with this idea? All right, so the research and development, was it like, we put super glue on bugs today?
And
they died.
No, it was actually a tournament that I fished with my partner, and we did really well. I can't remember if we won or not, but we were definitely top 3. And we were throwing a drop shot, and I went back midweek and just wanted to kind of go fun fish and explore and expand on what we had found. So I went back with the drop shot, but the water had turned a little dirty. I was actually fishing with a local guy, Randy Trent. He and I were fishing together, and we knew that the fish were still in similar places to where we had caught them in the tournament. And I wasn't fishing that tournament with Randy, but we were kind of going back trying to expand on it. And what I found was that even though we got a bite or two, I just felt like since that water had turned dirty, that the fish just weren't seeing the bait, and they weren't coming to the drop shot. So we tried bigger flipping baits, but it was midsummer, and this was 2 years ago. So it was midsummer, and they were pressured, and they weren't feeling the heavy line, the heavy weight, the big baits. So the drop shot to me was the way to go for that, but I just couldn't get them to recognize the bait. And if you didn't land within a foot of them, it wasn't in their strike zone, and they weren't going to eat it.
Right.
So just thinking it through as we were fishing, we're getting kind of frustrated when we were getting the bites. And I told him, I said, hey man, you know what we need? We need to come up with a weight that's got a rattle in it to draw these fish in. Because putting a rattle in the soft plastic worm is an option, but what it does is it changes the action of that bait, and then the fish can feel it. It may be unnatural to them, or whatever that case is. But for this particular instance, I just felt like a rattle, something to attract them naturally over to the bait, and I feel like that would be the key. And that's kind of how the idea started. And a few months went by, and I actually tried to tinker around with it in the basement, and I tried many different things. I made drop shot weights just like everyone else does. And I tried probably for a couple months trying to figure out how to get a rattle in it. And it took a lot of engineering and thinking and material testing, because lead is a sound dampening material by nature. And because of that, I couldn't get the rattle to be loud enough. And it wasn't until I got the right combination of materials and then figured out how to get the rattle in there. And then I realized after a couple months of trying this why it doesn't exist. I think there is another rattle and drop shot weight out there, but it has a clear tube in the middle, and you can see through it, and it has small steel BBs in it, and that is not how we make ours. The sound of that one it just isn't as loud as what I preferred. So I went on to just make one as loud as possible, but as natural as possible. And that's what I did. And when I started making the prototypes, that's all I used. And you remember you and I fished a few times together, including the BassCast tournament with Brian.
And they won.
We did.
We caught fish all day. Look at my phone.
And they won.
Yeah, so in that tournament, we caught a lot of fish. And I think that might have been the first time that you actually used it.
Yes. As far as tournament-wise, yes, that's the first time I actually picked it up and threw it. And, yes, it worked very well.
Yeah, so in that term, I remember that we caught a good one. It was a 3.5 pounder that morning. We caught it on a drop shot. And then later that day, I caught one over 5, maybe 5.5, and that one came on the rattle shot as well. That particular fish stands out to me because I could see it on the live scope, and I actually threw the drop shot. When I threw it, it was behind the fish, and when it landed, the fish had zero reaction. The fish was already 10 to 15 feet away. When I started moving the drop shot and engaging that rattle, I actually saw that fish turn around and come towards it. And I remember I told you before he even bit it, I was like, hey man, you might want to get the net. And I could tell it was a big mark, and I set the hook, and there he was. So I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it work, and I've caught a lot of fish with it. And recently we used it, and my partner and I, Steve Chris, we won the cat trail with it. You were there for that?
Yeah, I was there for that as well.
And we threw that a lot that day as well, and we caught a lot of fish with it. So it's been in testing for over a year. That's all I have in my boat. I just don't want to throw another weight because I don't want to advertise it to other people that it works if I don't believe in it. So I just been throwing it for a long time, and I have a ton of confidence in it. And as it's expanded, I've given it to anglers around local as well as out of state, and they've all had similar experiences that it catches a lot of fish.
There you go.
All right, so what are some of the difficulties you've had to get through when getting this, I guess, from start to finish as far as...
To the market, man.
To the market, yeah. I mean, we're at market stage now.
Yeah,
because you don't have a business background, do you?
Absolutely not.
No, you're a weekend tournament angler that noticed that there was a need and there was a product that could be created, like the BassCast, but there was a product that needed to be created, and no business background.
Zero. Consumer background.
Well, yeah, we all have that. But yeah, like I said, how did this thing,
Well, when I realized that I had made the weight, my first thought was not to go out and sell it to people. My first thought was, how can I use this to catch more fish? So I started exploring with that. I remember I was in the basement and I made it. I actually ran upstairs to my perfect wife. She wanted me to give her a shout out. Anyway, so I ran upstairs and I showed her the weight, and she was like, "Oh, that's cool, I guess."
Okay.
Yeah, exactly, right? You've been married, you know how it is. So anyway, I took the weight and I tried it, and I remember that it was last summer was the first time that I actually kind of perfected the entire thing and actually got it to where when the fish were in a position to where I could personally catch them with a drop shot. I'm sure there are other anglers that could catch them more often, but The first time I took to Smith Mountain Lake, I took my GoPro with me and I caught over 40 fish. And the only thing that I threw that day was a drop shot with a rattle shot as the weight.
Wow.
And I caught more smallmouth last summer than I probably caught in the last 15 years fishing at Smith Mountain Lake.
Holy cow.
So there's something about smallmouth and their aggressiveness and the way that this weight calls them in. I can't say exactly what it is, but
I'm just going to throw this out here. Imagine if they would have had the rattle shots on Thousand Islands.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, well,
Definitely
it's coming.
true.
It's coming. So anyhow, yeah, I took it out there and I had a really good turnout with it. So again, my first thought, getting back to your question, wasn't to try to sell it and to take it to market. It was, how can I use this as an advantage for an angler? Because that's what we all want as anglers, is to have an advantage over competition. But then as I started letting some buddies know about it, their excitement level seemed, it was kind of surprising to me, and they all wanted some. So I'm like, yeah, so I gave some out, and I think it's probably public knowledge now. Dustin Guthrie and John's dad Steve, they use it, and they won 4 or 5 night tournaments with it, and that was a real big player for them. And the way that they described what they were experiencing with the fishing and how the weight helped them. Then I started thinking, well, maybe I need to do something with this. So that was a challenge for me because I wasn't business minded. I'm still not, but I've learned a lot. I've grown a ton in the last year as far as business goes, and listen to some great podcasts. I want to throw one out there. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. So The Real AF or the MF CEO by Andy Frisella, both of those, same guy, killer. If you guys are interested in business, that is a great podcast to listen to. So then I started, trying to think about the patent process, and most recently, I want to give a shout out to John Cruz as well, because I've reached out to him and he's been interested in it, and he's been an awesome mentor. He has walked me through some stumbling stages that I've had, and he's been really, really cool. So
That's cool.
I really appreciate his help. So that's kind of where we are, just stumbling through. I have submitted the patent. We're patent pending status. We have trademark for our logo. We have
awesome.
Yeah. I just got. I've been waiting a year and a half to say
this.
this.
That's it, guys.
Yeah, that's
right
it
there.
right there. Yep. Drop zone tackle.
It is.
So how did we come up with this logo? Was it like prestige for what?
Not quite.
Oh, okay.
Not quite. We didn't crash the boat doing this one, but we did. I had several designs done up. I reached out to a company that helped me out with that, and that was the one that we picked.
All right, so we all know that there was a kind of a difficult time at the very beginning with finding the manufacturer that you actually wanted to make these.
Yes.
And tell us about that process. It's people don't really understand. I mean, you could reach out to 25, 50 different companies that actually can make this product. But tell us a little bit about the struggles that you had.
Yeah, sure. The one thing that I really, really wanted, and I'm still working towards it now, is not happening, and I hate to say that, but I want it made in the United States 100%. It is not 100% made in the United States right now. But the only reason is, and I won't throw the company under the bus, but there's a company, and they're the only company in the United States that makes swivels.
Oh wow!
I have to have a custom swivel to make this rattle shot work.
Right.
I begged them to do it. I offered to pay for their time and their tooling, and they just weren't interested in the project. So therefore, I had to go outside of the states to get the swivel made, and that started my manufacturing journey. And there's a lot of ups and downs. As a manufacturer got going, like I can make them in my basement because I'm pouring lead in a mold like everyone out there that makes drop shot weights.
Yeah.
Well, the manufacturing process for this process here is much different. They use injection molding or they use spin casting, which puts a lot of pressure on the internal parts, and it was causing some issues with the internal rattle chamber. It wasn't rattling properly.
So go ahead and show your product to the camera right there.
All right, so this is a 3/8 ounce rattle shot, and John just took it out of the pack. I'm sure you guys can hear that. And that's the weight there, and it has the weight. You can hold it up. I can't reach it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it has the weight engraved on the side.
And one thing I like about this too is notice how the actual lead is cemented up on the neck of the actual drop shot.
Yeah, it can still swivel.
It can still swivel.
But you don't have a lot of access up there.
Right.
Excess, rather.
But yeah. Love it.
Yeah, so once we got over the hurdle of we were damaging the internal parts.
Right.
Because of the injection molding, which is a lot of pressure, a lot of high pressure, something that I couldn't duplicate. That was an issue. The internal parts kind of protruding out of the side of the weight That was an issue, but all of that took time, and I think it was for a reason. I just think the timing wasn't quite right, and I really needed to get a quality product out. They actually sent some prototypes to me about 6 or 7 months ago, and I probably could have put those on market, but honestly, I just didn't like them, and I didn't want to ask customers to buy something that wasn't as good as we can
Right.
we can make. The one thing about it now is it's a one of a kind manufacturing process, so every now and then you'll get a blemish on the surface, but it does not affect the sound, and it's because that this is a one of a kind product. So no one's ever had this kind of manufacturing process before, and I've just had to work my way through it, and here we are.
All right, guys. So you guys are listening Backstage Fishing right here. We got with us Mr. Dennis Stump. He is the creator of Drop Zone. There you guys go. There you guys go. The Rattle Shot. We're gonna do a little giveaway. All you got to do is below the post that we're gonna put up on Backstage Fishing, which is John's page. So you got to go follow Backstage Fishing, and you got to put underneath there. You got to share the post, and you got to say the word Stump. There you go.
Fine with me. Yeah.
Awesome.
And we're gonna give some packs away, complimentary of Mr. Dennis Stump,
Yep.
and you're gonna get a sticker as well. So you're gonna get to try these baits firsthand. So that's it. Backstage Fishing. Make sure you follow it. We'll have everything up. That way you guys can share it, tag it, whatever you need to do. But you gotta share it, and you gotta say
Yes.
the word Stump.
Share it, like it. Share it, like it. Comment.
That's it. Share it, like it, and comment.
So as I look at these, don't get me wrong. Walk me through some of the quality controls, because I know what you're doing, and I want the customers out there to know how important this is to you, and what the value they're getting when they buy a pack of these.
Okay. Well, I just got my order in the other day, and it's thousands and thousands of weights, which I'm happy about. Again, it's been a 1.5 year long journey to get to this point. But every now and then, with any manufacturing process, especially if you don't have your hand directly in it, and I don't on this, you're gonna get a bad product here.
Oh, yeah.
Every now and then, if they're making cups, one of the cups is going to be deformed.
Every company.
Yeah,
has
so I think everyone has that struggle. But since it's just me and the company, all those thousands of weights have to go through my hand. So I hold each one up, I shake it, I check that the weight is printed properly, and that the swivel is shaped properly, and that it is swiveling properly.
Wow.
But mainly it's the sound, because if it's a little deformed on the blemish on the side or something, I can live with that.
Right.
But what I can't live with is if it doesn't sound the way it needs to, because these were engineered in a very particular way. Like each size has a different pitch, and that pitch is really key into getting more bites. And that's something we haven't talked about. We talk about the weights, we talk about our tournament, but I want to talk about why they catch more fish eventually. So
Go
you
for
get
it.
to that.
Oh,
Go
no, you're
for it.
fine. We're getting there. Don't worry.
Okay, all right.
So where can customers, of course, we're going to give a couple packs away. Where can the customers go get them locally? If you're right now, I know they're in a store. I posted it to Backstage Fishing yesterday.
Yep.
But go ahead and explain to them where they can get some product.
All right. So if you're local in the Lynchburg or surrounding areas, you can go to WW Novelty on Lakeside Drive and see Steve. He's got a display stand and end cap there, and it was full as of a couple days ago. I know he said he's selling a bunch, but he'll be restocked if he runs out. But you can go there and pick them up. And if you're not local, you can go to rattleshot.com. Again, that's rattleshot.com, and you can order them there. And because you guys invited me on the podcast, I really appreciate it. I was going to do 10%, but let's do 15. So we'll do 15% off.
Oh.
Yep. So if you use the coupon code BackStage Fishing, all one word, BackStage Fishing, then you'll get 15% off, and that will start tonight around 8 o'clock.
Because it's going to be 8 o'clock before I get this thing up, just letting you know.
And how long is that going to last?
That we'll do that for a week.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Until midnight of next Thursday. If you guys want some and you want to go online and get them, you can do that. Again, rattleshot.com, coupon code BackStage Fishing, and then you'll get your 15% off.
There you go. Pretty freaking awesome.
All right. To the part you want, the setup. What is your setup? What have you been using to catch your fish on the drop shot?
All right, so I want to get the rod out of the way first. I'm a big fan of fish sticks rods. And I was actually on the phone with the head of their pro staff today, Gary Malkin, who's at the Chick, oddly enough, at the James River. He's practicing for a tournament this weekend, and we've been talking, and we're in the process of actually making a rod just for the rattle shot, because you retrieve it a little bit different than you do a regular drop shot. So he knows how to use it because that's all he uses now, and he's had some success with it. And he knows what I'm looking for. I've explained it to him. He's done a good job fishing it with himself, by himself, and he knows the ins and outs of that rod that I'm looking for. So I'm a big fan of Fish Sticks rod, but because we don't have that dialed in yet, I'm currently using a Daiwa rod, which I will be changing as soon as this rod is done. As soon as they're done manufacturing it, then I'll be switching over to Fish Sticks again. I've used it in the past, and we're changing some things to make it ideal for the Rattle Shot. So that's the rod. I like 7 foot, medium or medium heavy, depending on what line size you're going to use, because that's determined by water clarity or the cover you're fishing. And again, we go, and I don't think we mentioned this, but I have 4 sizes in this: 3/16, quarter, 3/8, and 1/2. So if you're going to use the bigger sizes, the 3/8 and a half, due to the depth you're fishing or the cover you're fishing, then you may want to go to a medium heavy, and that's going to be your preference and for your rod manufacturer that you choose. But that's what I use. I use a 7 foot medium currently, and I'll probably continue to do that. I like the 1/4 ounce or the 3/16 myself because that fits what I fish local. Excuse me. So the line size, I like 15-pound braid or 20-pound braid. I love Gamma. I'm a huge Gamma fan. That's been a really good line for me. I've won a lot of tournaments with it. And smaller tournaments. I don't fish a lot of the bigger ones, but club tournaments, some of the Leesville tournaments, some opens at Smith, at BassCast, and all of those have been with Gamma line. It's just been very reliable, and I feel like I get a lot of. It's very consistent. Every time I get a spool, I know what the break strength is going to be, and that's important to me. So 15 to 20 pound Gamma torque braid. If I'm using 9-pound or larger, then that's the Gamma Edge fluorocarbon, and that's the leader that I go with. And I usually run, a 6 to 8 foot leader for my fluorocarbon. And then run it to a rebar hook is what I like to use, the RoboWorm rebar hooks. And I like to use either RoboWorms or the BizBait Mag Dizzies are really good. I like those as well.
Mag Dizzy.
So that's what I throw. That's pretty much my setup. As far as the retrieve goes, that's kind of the magic of the whole thing, because you want to engage the rattles, right? So it rattles, and if you just throw it down there and leave it and you're not doing anything with it, you're defeating the purpose of it. So here's the whole key to the Rattle Shot. This is the part I was really excited to share with you guys, is that the fish, just like humans, they have 5 senses, right? If the bass can see in clear water, that's great. That's what he relies on most, is his vision. But one of the keys for a bass is feeling it and hearing it, and they can hear, contrary to what people think they can hear.
Right.
But they feel it as well. So if you throw a drop shot, let's just give Smith Mountain Lake for an example, because everyone here local is going to fish it. They know it's clear water most of the time, depending on where you go, but most of the lake is going to be clear water.
90%.
Especially recently, I went there, it was like 8 foot visibility. That was like a month ago.
Oh, wow.
That was crazy.
Wow.
But it was super, super clear. Well, if you throw that out there and you're on the other side of a dock pole of that bass and he doesn't see it and you don't catch him, could you have caught him if you had done something a little different? Or if you had thrown it to the left versus the right? If you throw it in a brush pile, is that fish going to see it? If he wasn't in the brush pile, if he wasn't above it or in it, is he going to see it? If he's outside of it, is he going to come get it? If you're not making any noise, he may not. So the whole magic to this is, Clearwater isn't the best example. I'm just giving some because I think that's a popular lake for these guys to fish. But using it in stain water is killer. And you're throwing a drop shot in at times in areas that you never would have thrown it before. So what's happening is, if the bass can see it, he may come to it. If it's a positive image in his mind, if it's not a negative or threatening thing, he's going to see it, he's going to come to it. If he can hear it, and it's in a very natural and non-threatening way, which is what the Rattle Shot is mimicking. It's mimicking crawfish, and they're on the bottom and they're clicking their claws and they're crawling over rocks, and they make the exact sound that this Rattle Shot duplicates. And if that's a non-threatening environment there for him, or sound in his environment, he's going to come to it. And then the drop shot catches a lot of fish. Everyone knows that. And it does it because it's a very simple, non-threatening bait. There's no threat of it getting away.
Subtle.
Right, exactly. So if he sees it, that's great. But if he doesn't see it, what's drawing him to it? And so let's say he does see it, but they're in a negative feeding mood. Is he going to bite it? Chances are, maybe, maybe not. Most of the time, not if they're in a negative mood. Yeah. But how many times have we seen that?
It's got blue in it. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it.
So if you can appeal to more than one sense, and you do it in a very natural and non-threatening way, you are going to exponentially increase your bite ratio. And that is proven true for me. I'm not a great angler, but I catch a lot of fish with the drop shot, and I do so because I'm appealing to more senses of that bass in a very non-threatening way.
Right.
So that's kind of the whole science behind it, and it's really worked. It seems like such a subtle difference from what people are doing now. I can't explain every single reason of why it works. I can just tell you that it catches a lot of fish, and I personally have had a lot of success using it.
There you go.
I think he killed it.
Yes, sir.
I think he killed it.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
So how many are we giving away? 1 pack of each size, right?
Yep.
So they can try all different sizes for different scenarios. There you go.
There you go.
Yep, there you go. So, guys, like I said, Dennis Stump, you guys make sure you share the podcast. We'll put it up on the BackStage Fishing Facebook page. And you just got to share it and then say the word stump. That's all you got to do. And you then are entered and eligible to win this prize pack. You get, like you said, you get all 4 sizes and you get the drop zone tackle sticker.
I mean, he killed it. Like, this is like Prestige Worldwide. Don't bring your B game. You got to bring your A game when you
And I
come
didn't
into
crash
this.
a boat.
Yeah, exactly.
Not yet.
That's
Nachos
awesome.
lemonade on my dad's boat.
Awesome.
All right. Well, guys, I appreciate you having me, man. That was awesome. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
No problem. Brian, thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Always, man.
Stump, thank you. I think we
Yep.
killed this one.
Awesome.
Thank you guys for joining in. Yes, we got some catching up to do, I know. But I really wanted this one to be the July episode just because I told you big news is coming on the last one. And this is the big news I wanted to share. I've used the product. I like the product. Wait till you see it and hear it. I would go get some if I were you, just because when you open the pack up and you shake it, it's really going to strike you as wow. And that's what it did for me when I saw it. And, you know, like I said, I've been through the process with him for the last 1.5, 2 years, listening to him talk about it, and I'm just raring, and I couldn't wait to see the final product and get my hands on it, because it literally is jaw-dropping. When you use it, put your hands on it, you're going to love it. It's going to change the way you fish a drop shot and the way you think about a drop shot. So anyway, guys, thank y'all for coming in. Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Thank you, Dennis.
Yep. Appreciate it.
See y'all next time.